Hello everyone, welcome to Mitra's IES. Today we are going to start with our key news crash course for Prelims 2022. In this crash course, we'll be covering around 200 topics, which I've already shared on the website. And our endeavor is to cover those topics which, according to us, are most likely important from current affairs point of view in Prelims 2022. Today we'll be covering part 1, which is topic number 1 to 10. And let us start with the same. So the first topic which we'll be covering is a mission Indra Dhanush. As you all know that Government of India in 2014 started mission Indra Dhanush. The target of the scheme was to target initially 7 diseases for immunization for children under 2 years of age and for lactating mothers. So now the government has announced intensified mission Indra Dhanush 4.0. What is intensified? Now that is very important. Intensified now covers total 12 life-threatening diseases, and it covers up to 26 million children annually. The vaccination of these children for 12 life-threatening diseases. What are these 12 life-threatening diseases? These are tuberculosis, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, polio, hepatitis B, pneumonia, meningitis, Haemophilus influenza type B, which is HIV, measles, rubella, Japanese encephalitis, and rotavirus diarrhea. Here, rubella, Japanese encephalitis, and rotavirus are in select states and districts only. Now, as I was discussing earlier, India launched Mission Indra Dhanush as a special vaccination drive in December 2014. Now, this flagship program aims to strengthen routine immunization coverage by reinforcing learning from polio eradication activities. As you know, India has been one of the most successful nations in eradicating polio. So the learnings from that is now being used in Mission Indra Dhanush. The main target of this mission is targeting unvaccinated and partially vaccinated children less than 2 years of age to reach 90%, to reach over 90% of these people, children, targeted beneficiaries for their full immunization coverage. And this also includes unvaccinated pregnant women. When I say, what is this 90%? I'll just clear here. Suppose a beneficiary, that is a children who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, which is less than 2 years of age. So the target is that 90% of such children should be covered and should be, the target should be reached, that over 90% of such children should be vaccinated thoroughly as per these 12 diseases, which is under Mission Indra Dhanush. Now, there are various surveys, that is National Family Health Survey 1 till National Family Health Survey 5, which is the latest, has said that the coverage of Mission Indra Dhanush has actually improved from 35.4% now till 76.4%. Now, the target, as I told you, is minimum 90%, so it still has to be reached. So NFHS 5 also tells us that there has been some problems with respect to COVID, because of which there has been not sufficient focus on vaccination in last 2 years. But now that is why intensified Mission Indra Dhanush has been launched. Right. So in this UPSC may ask you about Mission Indra Dhanush. Right. Then they might ask you diseases covered. So this has been asked in past, and UPSC can ask this in future as well. So this is one of the reasons that this topic finds place in one of the important topics for this year prelims. Topic number 2, Gaganyaan. You might have heard this in last 1, 2, 3 years. Gaganyaan is a flagship program for ISRO, and it would be the first manned mission which India sends into the space. Now, As per Gaganyaan, 3 flights will be sent into orbit. There will be 2 unmanned flights first and 1 human space flight. Now, as discussed, 3 flights will be sent, 2 unmanned and 1 human, and it will be sent on GSLV Mark III, also known as LVM, that is Launch Vehicle Mark III. Now, this is a 3-stage heavy lift launch vehicle. Gaganyaan's major mission, like the test vehicle flight. So now the thing is that various kind of missions are being undertaken. So before these unmanned and manned mission takes place. The thing is, because of COVID, again, there has been a significant delay. The earlier target for manned mission was 2022, which has been forwarded to first crewed mission has been forwarded to 2023. It is still unlikely when it will be conducted, but it is one of the most important missions for ISRO in all these years. And hence, this becomes really important for UPSC Prelims 2022 as well. Now, the image which is shown here is of Vyom-Mitra. Now, what is Vyom-Mitra? It is a human robo. So it will be this in the second uncrewed mission at the end of 2022 will carry Vyom-Mitra, a spacefaring human robo developed by ISRO. So it will be, so this will be, any direction. So it is kind of a computer for any kind of help. So any kind of, so this is one of the very important missions. Any important highlights, anything you come across this, I would like you to go through it very thoroughly. So the next we'll talk about topic number. So this is all about, I would like you to look into this image, that how this entire mission will take place. So this is self-explanatory image, and this will help you to understand about the entire Gaganyaan mission, how it will be conducted. I personally feel one of the most important topics in this year UPSC will be metaverse. Meta and verse. Verse, short form of universe. So it is, as the word tells you, it is made up of 2 words. So meta and universe. Metaverse includes elements from both physical and virtual worlds. Now, this is a technology which is being looked into as a future of human interaction and technology. So the metaverse will be decentralized just like internet. So what is actually metaverse? Is a mixed reality. It's a form of mixed reality that is combination of augmented and virtual reality. In past, UPSC has asked question on augmented reality as well as virtual reality. But metaverse this year hence becomes extremely important. When I say it is decentralized, it means that nobody owns the metaverse, like how nobody owns the internet. So it will be an open platform. And under this metaverse will introduce digital elements in the real world. Metaverse will support 3D virtual spaces. So what is actually a metaverse is that humans can become part of another sphere altogether, which is metaverse, known as metaverse, using virtual and augmented reality. For example, you can have the virtual reality glasses on you, and you can actually go on shopping, virtually do shopping, virtually own a land. There are many applications to this. That is why this topic will become extremely important this year, that its applications will become very important. 3D spaces in the virtual world will let you socialize, learn, collaborate, and play in the ways that go beyond what we can imagine. As per Facebook, the metaverse is the next evolution of social connection. Metaverse is expected to expand the internet to combine digital spaces like online gaming, social media, cryptocurrency, virtual reality, and augmented reality. So you can see how various technologies would converge in the universe or in the field of metaverse. Now, its potential. So its potential, firstly, it will help increasing hardware sales. Hardware scales like augmented reality glasses, virtual reality glasses. So this will have a very big market in the future. Software sales, so those software applications which support the metaverse ecosystem will have a huge market. Gaming, today already gaming is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and once the metaverse is established in a way that you actually would be able to enjoy a game being a part of the game itself. So it has a huge, scope. Physical sales. So sales of physical goods. Now, this is a very interesting part of it. In this, you can actually use augmented virtual reality to go outside in a virtual world to go and shop for your own self. For example, if you want to buy a TV, but you don't want to go physically, but then you want to go, you can go virtually and observe how would TV, what kind of features, how would it look, and then decide to actually buy it. So it will actually help the physical sales as well. Immersive learning. So being a part of the overall learning ecosystem. So you can immerse into, like, for example, if you're learning geography, you can actually go to that geography and observe around it, how it actually looks. So immersive learning, huge scope itself. Decentralized commerce and non-fungible tokens. This will be further discussed, but then metaverse is a very important topic for UPSC 2022. Next topic which I'll be covering is in space, and it has a further segment of NSIL. Okay, what is in space? Now, the government of India came out with in 2020 budget about in space, which is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. Now, it is established as a single window nodal agency, which will have cadre of its own. So first of all, in space is a private space agency. So in space is actually an organization which will promote private space agency and parties, and they will be allowed to use ISRO's managed and governed equipment and use the space which is controlled by Indian Space Organization. So establishment of temporary and permanent facilities, including infrastructure and safety measures, will be taken up by InSpace. So main target of InSpace is to promote the private agencies so that they can further help in developing the space sector in India. So it will help in rolling out of space-based activities, and usage of spacecraft data will be governed by this agency. So it's not a private agency, it's a government agency, but is established to promote the private sector participation in space, making sure that any space mission which is being performed as a combined effort by ISRO and any other private space agency. So most important is, what is the importance of it? It will help improve research and development activities, level playing field for private companies, socio-economic use of space assets, and promote India as a global technology powerhouse. Very important when we're talking about in space, we also need to know what is NSIL. NSIL is New Space India Limited. Okay. So it is a public sector enterprise incorporated as a new commercial arm of Department of Space. Many of you would have heard of Antrix, which was earlier also a commercial arm, but due to certain disputes, it couldn't take off and it is under a lot of litigation. Hence, government has promoted New Space India Limited as a commercial arm of Department of Space. So it will use, for example, let's say America says that we want to launch a satellite, but when we would launch on our own spacecraft or on our own launch vehicle, it will cost us 500 crore. But when ISRO can launch it, it can launch at 100 crore. So the ISRO will pitch so NSIL will pitch for ISRO that we have efficiencies. If you want, we can do it at 1/5 the rate. So this is how NSIL will be working as a commercial arm. So it will project ISRO, its projects, its how it can increase its own revenue through various activities. It will help to harness India's space power commercially, to tap the benefits of R&D carried by ISRO, and to spearhead commercialization of space products, including production of launch vehicles, transfer technologies, marketing of space products. So this is about NSIL. So these two also, UPSC tends to ask a lot on space, and especially ISRO related and NASA related questions of late. Hence, this NSIL and in space can become very important. Again, after metaverse, I would say one more extremely important topic for this year's prelims will become James Webb Space Telescope. Now, James Webb Space Telescope, when I'm talking about, it is also important to compare it with its predecessor, Hubble Space Telescope. Now, it's very important to understand. So, what is James Webb Space Telescope and Hubble Space, when we compare it, it is easier to know. So let's understand. So the James Webb Space Telescope was launched in year 2021. It's still not operational, as it is still being, though it has been launched, it is in its orbit, but it's yet to send images to, and it has actually sent a preliminary image, but the more refined images are yet to come. Hubble Space Telescope actually has been in function since 1995. So let us look at the differences of the same. So James Webb Space Telescope follows the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope in the line of great space observatories. Of course, it will look at the distant universes, distant solar systems, and far off galaxies. So this is one of the most revolutionary, project taken by different space agencies spearheaded by NASA. So Hubble Space Telescope, actually its orbit is 570 kilometers from Earth, whereas James Webb Space Telescope has its orbit, it's orbiting at around 1.5 million kilometers. So this is nothing but, this is the second Sun Earth Lagrange point. So it is L2. L2 is a very important word here. So second Sun Earth Lagrange point. Primary mirror 2.4 for Hubble Space, whereas James Webb, the primary mirror is 6.5 meter. It can look up to 12.5, where a Hubble Space Telescope can look up to 12.5 billion years ago, and James Webb Space Telescope can further look back to 13.5 billion years ago. This is revolutionary. There has, so till now, Hubble Space Telescope has been able to see young galaxies, whereas James Webb Space Telescope will be able to see infant or newborn galaxies. Why? Because it is expected the Big Bang happened at 13.8 billion years ago. So it can actually see up to 13.5 billion years ago. Few of you might be surprised, then how can it look back? See, light travels right at the speed of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. But the time taken for a light to travel, say, in the distance traveled by light in 1 year is actually 1 light year distance. Okay. So from 13.5 billion years ago, the light will be coming. So it is taking that much time. So the light which is will be received by James Webb would be that old. Very important thing here is the frequencies which they'll be working with. So Hubble Space actually worked in the visible and ultraviolet, and very parts of near infrared, which is not really counted. So majorly a little of ultraviolet and a full visible range. The problem with this was that whenever some, it couldn't see beyond, say, some kind of what you say, for example, clouds. But then there are huge masses of dust, huge masses of gases. So it wasn't able to see beyond that. Whereas James Webb Space Telescope would be able to see beyond that, because it will work in near infrared, mid infrared range, right? So these are the major differences. For more such differences, you can have a look at this figure as well. Hence, James Webb Space Telescope, compare it with Hubble, very important for UPSC Prelims 2022. Let's come to the 6th topic, edge computing. Again, a very new technology, very important concept, very much in news again. Firstly, what it is. So instead of holding and processing data in a cloud or central data center, edge computing processes the data at the edge of the network. So the processing is not actually taking place at the server, where the servers are, or the data center, or not even the cloud, but at the edge of the data, that is within the, where the system is, at the edge of the network itself. So it makes the system and application more efficient by removing the components, data services from a centralized server, and placing the data closer to the edge. This is how actually this figure will really help you to understand how edge computing works. So edge processing actually happens here. It does not happen here in the neither in the cloud. So actually the processing time will be faster. That is the clear cut what you can see. This reduces the flow of traffic to the central server and provides real-time local data analysis. So devices which can be used for edge computing, these can be any device that produces data. It can be sensors, industrial machines, routers, vans, switch, etc. So firstly, when you look at these sensors, industrial machines, routers, you can easily understand that it will be really effective in Internet of Things, where real-time processing is much more required. Or for example, a self-driving car, right? So edge computing can be revolutionary. They will act as small data centers that are able to communicate important information with each other. Need. It is universally true that, so what is the need of actually edge computing? So it is true that cloud computing helps to achieve mass centralization, right? But data processing, mass centralization data processing and enables to focus around storage scaling. That is there with respect to cloud computing. But challenges of latency, this is what I was talking about. Data going, processing, coming back. Microseconds difference today is a big thing for something like self-driving car. So when data travels miles from cloud data center to end user, it goes over thousands of miles to the end users. So delays are considerable. Thus, devices are unable to take instant action. Let me give you an example. Google servers are there in United States. Today, whatever you do, if something has to be taken from Google server, that information has to be processed. It will take, so the information, once we click through the optical fiber cables, through your country, through Middle East, then undersea cables from Europe to North America, then back. The process is very fast, yes, because what is happening, everything is at speed of light because of optical fiber capability, but still there will be microsecond delays. This can be dealt with through edge computing. A split second in the delay in the data going to the cloud and back to the device can result in a serious problem. Latency is not completely avoidable, right? So example, again, I was talking about self-driving car, self-driven autonomous car. Safety is always the first concern of connected and autonomous car. Driverless cars need to ensure that they are keeping to their lanes, recognizing and stopping at the red lights, deaccelerating by identifying pedestrians and other obstacles, and much more. All this requires a massive amount of sensory data in real time. The car needs to send terabytes of data to the central server and then receive the response in the NAP. In case of any mishap, the car needs to take crucial decisions if we send such massive data to the center. Hence, here, edge computing can extremely help. I would like you to go a little more into it, search more, go into more applications of it. And then again, this is one of the very important topics for this year, UPSC prelims. Let's come to the next topic, quantum computing and quantum cryptography. So firstly, let's talk about what's quantum computing. It's again a very revolutionary thing which is happening in the field of technology. We all know what is classical computing, right? But then what is quantum computing? It is better we understand through its differences. So quantum computing calculates with qubits, whereas classical computer calculates with bits 0, 1. So it can be either 0, either it can be 1. Whereas qubit means it can be 0 and 1 at the same time, which is superimposition. So hence quantum computing uses concept of quantum mechanics to solve the problems too complex for classical computers. Very important. So quantum mechanic it uses. Hence, qubits, bits, always 0 or 1, one thing at a time, classical computer. Qubit uses quantum mechanics. It can be 0 and 1 at the same time as well, which is superimposition. So power increasing exponentially in proportion to number of qubits, whereas in classical computer, power increases in 1:1. So there is as the number of transistors increase in classical computer, it will proportionally increase. But whereas there is exponential increase with the proportion of number of qubits in quantum computing. Quantum computing computers have high error rates. Right now they have higher error rates, but then it is being further and further made refined. In fact, India itself has started a national mission on quantum technologies and applications, which is a huge mission. India does not want to stay behind in quantum computing. Hence, already the government has started to invest in the same. Quantum computing is well suited for tasks like optimization problems, data analysis, and simulations, which requires a lot of processing, real-time processing. Whereas most everyday processing is best handled by classical computers. So it is not meant to totally do away with the classical computer system, but rather bring in an alternative system of computing, which will help in higher processing activities or applications. So in December 2021, Indian Army has set up a quantum computing laboratory and an AI center at Military Engineering Institute at Mao, Madhya Pradesh. It is also backed by the National Security Council Secretariat, right? So as I told you, National Commission on Quantum Technology and Application also has been started. So you need to know what is quantum computing, how it works, what are qubits. Compare it with classical computing, it will know much better, right? So this is quantum computing. Again, a very new concept which has come after this has quantum cryptography. We all know cryptography. Cryptography is like you use WhatsApp, you use Telegram, it shows end-to-end cryptography is active. That means like whatever you send then is encrypted on the way, so that even if someone comes in between your communication in that channel, won't be able to decipher it. So cryptography is crypting the original message and then decrypting at the other end of the communication. But what is quantum cryptography? So quantum cryptography is nothing. Again, it uses is a method of encryption that uses naturally occurring properties of quantum mechanics to secure and transmit data in the way that cannot be hacked. It is actually more secure. It is more, so it is still being researched about, but already quantum cryptography has started to make a lot of noise with advent of quantum mechanics within computing, within communication systems, and it is expected that it will make a communication system more secure. But at the same time, it will also challenge the avenues for surveillance by the state as well as non-state actors also. Quantum cryptography has just given a very brief understanding, but I would like you to again go into a much more deeper level if required. Otherwise, I expect UPSC not to go too deeper into quantum cryptography. Next topic, which we'll be talking about, mission Samudrayaan. Now, mission Samudrayaan is a first manned ocean mission launched, manned ocean mission by India. With this, India will join a lead club of US, Russia, Japan, France, and China, who have sent a manned mission undersea. What is it? So it is a part of deep ocean mission, right? It is a part of deep ocean mission, which is around 600,000 crore deep ocean mission project. And it will send submarines with 3 persons to a depth of around 6,000 meters. It will enable exploration of ocean resources for drinking water, clean energy, and blue carbon. This is the main objective. Will make deep sea mining and exploration a reality by 2022. It has been a little delayed because of Corona, hence it might take a little more time. Deep ocean mission. What is deep ocean mission? This picture will really depict. Now the year of mission has been changed to 2024 as updated. The race to the bottom. Indian scientists begin an ambitious project to explore the seabed inside India deep ocean mission to extract resources from the sea. This is important. The depth is given. What will be on board? Right, what kind of machine? The vessel is Matsya 6000. Important brief point. Matsya 6000. Mission Samudrayaan, deep ocean mission, depth, right? And what's on board? This will become important, right? So this is about mission Samudrayaan and deep ocean mission. Now let's come on to what is dark genome. A lot of questions recently you found in prelims on biotech, and one of the topics which I personally feel again is important is dark genome. Now, what is dark genome? It's not that something is dark. So it is actually the area which does not have any protein. So for example, human genome is conventionally divided in coding genome, right? Which generates 20,000 annotated human protein coding genes. And dark genome, which does not encode protein. So dark genome is a vast space actually. Important. What is it? Is vast space accounting up to 98.5% of genomic space, where repeat elements enhance a regulatory sequence and non-coding RNAs reside. Important. It is technical, yes, but you need to know what is dark genome, what resides in it, and then what is its importance. Investigating dark genome recently evolved in the region that codes for proteins associated with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Important that it in future, since it has been found, it can actually later on its research in its field can help to counter such diseases. They say these new proteins can use the biological indicators to distinguish between two conditions and to identify patients more prone to psychosis or suicide, as I discussed earlier. Hotspots in the dark genome associated with disorder may have evolved because they have beneficial functions in human development, right? But their disruption by environmental factor leads to susceptibility to or development of schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. So this is why where dark genome understanding it's what it entails, how it can be helpful will become important. Since we are talking about DNA, so it's important we also have a look what is difference between DNA and RNA. DNA is a double-stranded nucleic code, right? We know this something like this. So, right, I'm not making very correct, but something double helix structure. So this is much better. So ignore what I made earlier. So RNA is a single-stranded. So it is single. So these are 2, 1, 2. Whereas RNA would be single-stranded, right? It contains deoxyribose sugar, whereas RNA contains ribose sugar. That is where the name comes, deoxyribose nucleic acid, ribose nucleic acid, right? This is the major difference. Then this is where, so it is sugar. It contains thymine as a nitrogenous base. It contains uracil instead of thymine. That is one of the important differences. It is genetic and hereditary material of the cells. It is involved in the synthesis of proteins. Okay. Then it is present in the nucleus of the cells, DNA, and it is present, RNA is present in both nucleus and cytoplasm. So this was a difference between DNA and RNA. Let's come to the last topic of today's session, neglected tropical diseases. So neglected is important word, tropical again. So location and current, condition. So it is the first is neglected is condition, tropical is location. So which are the tropical countries? African, most of the African countries and South Asian countries and Asian nations to a certain extent, major. These are tropical areas. Neglected comes into various categories which are spread by protozoa, virus, bacteria, helminth. Now neglected by, so neglected tropical is a group of infections that are most common among marginalized. That is why neglected. Why marginalized communities? So they cannot spend out of pocket for such diseases. And also when, and they are occurring mostly in the countries of Africa, Asian, America, especially Latin America region, not North America. They are caused by a variety of pathogens such as viruses, bacteria, protozoa, and parasitic worms. Entities are especially common in tropical areas, right? We've talked about it. Now, why they are neglected? Firstly, they are, mostly marginalized communities are hampered because of it, and they cannot spend out of pocket. Since there are not much market for the medicines and all, so not too much research is also done in bringing out new medications in it. And plus these diseases are not on a huge scale, but significant scale. But then usually the companies which make pharmaceuticals don't invest too much into R&D of making medicines for such diseases. And neglected tropical diseases affect more than 1 billion people globally. They are preventable and treatable. However, these diseases and their intricate interrelationship with poverty and ecological systems continue to cause devastating health, social, and economic consequences. There are 20 neglected tropical diseases. So prelims, try to remember at least these NTDs. It impact 1.7 billion people. India carries largest. So India, especially for Indian point of view, Kala Azar and lymphatic filariasis are important. Lymphatic filariasis is also known in India as Hathi Palm. Hathi Palm. So Kala Azar and Hathi Palm, which is lymphatic filariasis, is one of the two major non-tropical neglected tropical diseases which affect in India. There are total 20. You should remember why they are neglected, tropical countries they are affecting. This is what you should know. So this is what today we are actually going to look into. Our endeavor is to keep bringing these videos on a regular basis now, so that you can revise for your prelims. And total 200 such videos will be 200 such topics will be covered in 20 such videos. And right now I've uploaded this on our channel Mithra's IAS. You can go and download this document for your revision. You can also see this video on the same page of the course page on Mithra's IAS website. So all the very best. Keep preparing for UPSC Prelims 2022. Let's continue working hard. Let's give our best. Let's make it as a challenge that we would cover all important areas and revise thoroughly for Prelims 2022. Again, let's catch up for our next video, which will cover topic 11 to 20. All the best, and catch you in the next video. Thank you.